welcome to the Higher Education Access Corner. I'm your host, Tiffanie and joining me today are the Lawrence brothers.
Hey.
I have Kevin Lawrence
Yep.
and Doug Lawrence. Welcome back to the podcast, guys.
Thank you for having us. It feels good to be back.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, if you all recall, the Lawrence brothers were on here before because they were talking about True Colors, one of their brands, one of the best brands that they've created. It was episode 44, so if you've not had an opportunity to listen to it, go back and listen to episode 44, and it aired back in April 2024. So for those listeners who have not had an opportunity to listen to the episode from the past, how about, Doug, we'll start with you. Tell us about True Colors and what have you all been up to?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having us here. True Colors is a career pathways college readiness program. We're in 3 high schools currently. We started in Stilton High Spire High School. This is our 5th year at Stilton. First of all, the Stilton has a wonderful staff. Principal Steve Salewski and Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent, Interim Superintendent Willie Slade. We appreciate the support that we receive from their staff. This is our 5th year again at Stilton. But since the last podcast, we also have our program at Bishop McDevitt High School with Principal Dr. Vince Harper. We thank him for bringing the program to Bishop McDevitt High School. And we've been fortunate and blessed to be able to have the program come to our school, which is Susquehanna Township. Dr. Willis and Dr. Andre Martin and Dr. David Archer is the principal. So we're fortunate to be at 3 schools right now.
So you've grown out a little bit, and you all are, like you said, you're alum of Susquehanna.
Susquehanna Township.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm an alum of Harrisburg. So maybe we could speak that one into fruition at one point.
We started out at Harrisburg, and there's a lot of people who want us to be at Harrisburg. We'll get to that.
I would love to see that opportunity. But congratulations on the expansion and
Thank
everything that you all are doing. How do you think it's been going so far? Like, what are some of the things you're most proud about True Colors in general, and how you've grown?
Well, several things. First of all, the graduation rate. We've had 100% graduation rate at all 3 schools, which is important. But we also have over 90% or high 80% rate of post-secondary education, which is an emphasis of the program. Mm-hmm. And for students, and that includes not only colleges, but also trade schools and workforce development as well. So we're pleased with the progress and what the students have been able to accomplish that are in the program.
Okay, and something else that I have down here is that it's just part of your growth. You've served over 50 individual high school students. You supported 40 students that attended post-secondary educational opportunities as well.
Kevin, you can address the post-secondary.
That's crazy, right? So what happens when the idea that you had evolves and really happens, Tiff? That's where we're at right now.
Okay.
Like we're at the point where 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we talked about trying to get students to go post-secondary and showing them career pathways on how to get there. Now we're at the point where you go, whoa, this really did take off. People are going post-secondary. And when you get growth, that's really where it gets scary, right? Because there's growth, and you can grow vertically, you can grow, the other way. Mm-hmm. And we're deciding right now, we're at a point where we have to be very strategic in how we recruit students. And why? Because the one thing that I learned this summer was the students that are in post-secondary require the same amount of attention as the students that are in high school.
So some of it's not just about getting them there, it's helping them to thrive while they're there and retaining them.
And maintaining them and providing the resources necessary to help keep them there.
Okay, so
right.
So let me get you to pause that part, but you're gonna come back to it because I want folks to understand, just in case they didn't hear the first podcast episode. Like you said, you started in Stilton High Spire.
Right.
And that's where I met you guys and connected with you at Stilton High. Doing the financial aid piece. But while you have those students who are in there, some of the things that you're sharing with them or showing them, what are some of the topics and things that they're getting that's going to encourage them to even want to consider something beyond high school?
When we first started, we were just happy to have students in our program. Truth be told, you have this idea and you put out your pitch and, students sign up. So you're just happy to have people in your program. Now we're at the point where we have measurables, we have statistics to chart, and the number one point of emphasis I'm going into the school year with is why. Answering that question, why. When we go to investors, people go, why do you need that money? Why is this person majoring in social work? What are the career growth? What career growths are in that major? What are measurables that you accumulated that help them reach their goal? Right. So we're putting those whys into play now to help us find out. Hey, you want to be a criminal justice major? Why? Well, my dad's criminal justice major. Yeah, but why do you want to do it? How much does it cost to go there? All these things to evaluate you so that when we come to this determination that this career pathway is best for you, we can say why.
And another thing, Tiffanie, we're real proud because we have students that attend over 14 different universities. Right. And we're very proud of that. We're Howard University. We have students at Penn State. We have students at Harrisburg University. We have students at LaSalle. So we're Central Penn, Shippensburg. So we're proud that we have students that attend a variety of universities across not only the state but in other states as well.
And a lot of
Morgan State.
And so a lot of what it sounds like you all are doing, it's about exposure, gaining knowledge, and like you said, Kevin, it's okay. Here's the why behind it. Why do you want to do this? So start with career exploration. What is it you want to do? What's it going to take for you to get into these particular career fields? Soft skills, hard skills, all of that. And you guys are bringing in with your program, I know because I've been a part of it, you're bringing in the resources, the knowledge, and the skill sets to help those students figure it out.
Yeah.
Which is the good piece. You said that you're now in McDevitt. You're also now in Susquehanna with that. Do you find that the students' needs are pretty much the same, throughout all of the different school districts?
They want to get from point A to point B, and we need to develop a plan on how to reach that goal, right? I don't care if you're from Edgemont and Susquehanna Township or you're at Coldcrest and Still High. The people that we're looking for, and you talked about it, earlier. You said, I'm hoping to get True Colors at Harrisburg, right? We're not, in terms of growth, we hope to expand it to other school districts, right? But the biggest thing now is providing the resources for the students that we have. As a matter of fact, we're scaling back in terms of the number of students that we would like in our program so that we can accommodate those needs appropriately, right? So at one point we were celebrating, well, we had 6 kids the first year, and now we got 25, right? Well, when you have almost 100 kids, you don't need more kids. You need the right kids. And that's what we're focusing on right now, selecting the right, I call it a PhD quality that we look for when we select. And the PhD stands for poor, hungry, and determined. Okay. And not necessarily poor in terms of economically, but poor in terms of resources that are available to help them reach their goals. Not hungry in terms of needing a meal, hungry in terms of, look, I'm starving to get out of this situation I'm currently in. And then the D stands for determined. Mm-hmm. You're determined, you're willing to make the sacrifices necessary to change your life. So it's that PhD quality, that poor, hungry, and determined quality that now we're looking for. I told the students in the introduction last week at Stilton High Spire, and I said this to like a Facebook, you can reach your maximum in friends on social media, right? I got 5,000 friends on Facebook, and you start deleting them because you got people on there who really aren't your friends, right? Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the kid or the student that really, really wants this now. Okay. Because when we go to, thank God for us, our program is supported on state funding and grant funding and a lot of donations and corporate donations as well. Again, the number one question is, why? Why do you want to change your life? Why are you investing in this person?
How are you finding these kids?
That's a good question, Tip. What we do is we interview each student. We have an interview with each student. We, for the most part, get an opportunity to interview the students, and then after the interview, we consult with the counselors to see if the students meet the standards, and then we'll make a decision and a selection on who we choose for the program.
Which I think is good, and I also think that because you're in the schools, maybe there are some students who aren't quite there yet, but they can see the students that are there and they're thriving, and that might inspire them.
Yeah, and that's happened. A lot of the students, some of the students may be marginal, like my brother was mentioning. We would love to have all of the A students, but we also do select some marginal students as well, because the purpose of the program is growth, and to make sure that the students can grow and then choose a career or college that really is the best fit for them.
Because it's public school, Tiff, you know as well as I do, you have to open it up to the student body in general. So you have to give some type of presentation or be somewhere, shake some hands, meet some people, and go through the process, right? The most important part of our process to me is, and we're going to do it tomorrow at Still Nice Bar, is the candidacy stage, where that means we sit with you in a room and interview you and determine, it's a relationship. You choose us, and you choose us by saying, I'm interested in going on the website and signing up and putting your data in there. And then the second part is we have to buy into you. Okay. And you know as well as I do, sometimes students can articulate themselves well. And then you have some students that it's hard for them to put a sentence structure together, right? But you can still see in that person the potential.
And the drive.
And the drive. They can't say it, but man, you can feel it, right?
And we have some sayings that we like to use for each student. We want the students to know their numbers, meaning know their
Good in there. You jumped the gun on me, so go ahead. Let's keep it going.
Know their numbers, know their grade point
That's
average, know their GPA. That's very important. And then also we want the students to use their voice, articulate their feelings, be authentic in who they are, express themselves, and develop interview skills so that it's going to help them later on.
All right, so you kind of touched on where I was going next, because right now I've noticed that you guys are talking about being more fiscally responsible with your students. Financial literacy is a big piece as well. Yeah. And so you've been talking about the KYN, know your numbers. That's a term that you are using. Expand a little bit more on that and why it's important for students to know their numbers.
Well, in anything in life, you have to know things like your social security number. You have to know your address. You have to know your date of birth. Most people, if you ask the kid to tell you their phone number, you'd be surprised how many kids have to look at
in their phone
to tell you their phone number, right? What is your graduation? What's the graduation rate? What is the college acceptance rate? GPA. All those things are in front of you, and people don't even look at them. So if we're pulling up to Shippensburg University, I want the students to know what their acceptance rate is, what their GPA requirements are, because if you don't have that, then we're going there, but you got some work to do.
And we want the students to understand it's a competition. It's a very competitive world. They're actually being compared to students all across the country. So they need to be mindful of these numbers.
Yeah, and stereotypes that come along with that. Just because you're from this area, this part of the country, or you live in this demographic, doesn't mean you can't compete with the elite students or so-called elite students from other programs. They just were fortunate enough to have some of the things that you don't have, right?
Right. And also, I think it's important for students with knowing their numbers, because when they are choosing schools, they may have already figured out, okay, this is what I want to major in. So now it's my exploration piece to look for the different schools that are out there. Yes. What do those schools offer? Because like you mentioned, the schools are looking for a certain type as well.
Yeah.
So the school has their own brand, and these are the type of students that they want to represent them. So it's important for students when they're visiting the school's websites, where they're at attending the college fair. They're talking to the admissions folks to know what type of student is this individual school looking for. They're looking for a student that has a GPA of this.
Right.
They're looking for a student who may have been involved in certain extracurricular activities. Maybe volunteer work is important. And I always tell students, the sooner they get an understanding of where they are, they can have a conversation sometimes. Maybe that school will say, hey, you don't meet these numbers, but we'll give you an opportunity to have an interview with us. And that can also have some weight in it to give them a place to start. And they may say, you might not start here. There might be some remedial courses you have to take.
College prep,
but at least they'll be
else.
aware, and I think if they don't know their numbers, they kind of are a little behind the 8 ball with that. So it's good, I think, that you are letting the students know, hey, let's know your numbers before we get out to these schools, before we go anyplace.
If you don't know your numbers, we can't develop a plan.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know where you're at, we can't develop a plan to help you get to where you want to go. So it starts with knowing who you are and where you are, and that's the starting point. And now we can talk about the plan. And the plan starts with a purpose. You know, so if I know what your purpose is and I know where you're at, chances are we can build a plan, right? And that's the big thing right now is, you know, the plan. Now, we're at a point now where we it's more important to establish the plan while you're in the program, so that when you get to whatever school you choose, you understand what it took to get there, and now you're there. You understand what it's going to take to keep you there, because we have to change your life.
Right.
Like we're not enrolling students just to come in and say, oh, we're going to Philadelphia for today, so I get to miss algebra. We're getting on that bus now to wherever college or university we get into with a purpose, because now that I see a lot of field trips that we've taken, whether it be to Washington, D.C., we have students now that are in Washington, D.C. going to school.
At Howard
We have
University.
students that are in Baltimore.
You said
Morgan
14
State.
different schools.
Yeah, 14 different schools.
Schools that you're at, which is really good.
Yeah.
One part I want to talk about also, because I do know that you all are doing the information, you're pouring into the students, you know, when they're in the secondary schools, you're doing the tours, you're figuring out what, you know, what their plans are, and you're helping them. But I think there's a beautiful piece to it that you do follow them through. There's funding that you guys provide, and you help those students, not just with learning the soft skills and what is required and helping them figure out, you know, what their particular purpose is going to be while they go forging ahead in post-secondary schools, but you've talked about before, hey, some students need, you know, some basic resources just to keep things going, and there's some funding that you all have been fortunate enough to be able to provide to help those students who are in there. So I also understand why you can't open it up to everyone,
Right.
because there's also a financial support system that you all extend as far as your reach will allow you to, and I think that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of students, a lot of times we're talking financial aid. I talk financial aid all the time.
Right.
So we talk about what's it take to get you in there. We talk about the overall cost of education. Students a lot of times focus on the tuition and the fees, the housing, and the meal plan. We tell them about those other incidentals, but it doesn't always click that, hey, when you're there, you need your day-to-day living things. You need your toiletries. You need some of these other things. There are some students who are facing like housing insecurities, food insecurities, and you all have been able to kind of assist them throughout their process. So I think that's a good thing, and I think that's a reminder for folks to tap into the resources that are available, not just with you all.
One of the most powerful things I ever experienced. So when my mom and my brother dropped me off at Shippensburg University, I had a duffel bag, right? And that was it. Everything that I had was in that duffel bag, right? My linen, my sheets, my clothes, everything was in that duffel bag. And I'll never forget my roommate said, I put my duffel bag down and he was like, hey man, let me help you unpack. I'm like, unpack? I'm here. You know, I am unpacked. 30 years later, I'm at a school, and we're there on moving day. And, you know, people were getting out of the car with TVs, flat screens, and refrigerators, and, you know, microwaves. And the person I'm with, we ain't got that. And we're looking around, and parents got snacks, they got water supplies and Gatorade for their kid. And we looking around like, We don't got that. And then it dawned on me that you can talk about getting that student to college, and then the reality is, do they have the resources to stay there?
Mm-hmm.
And do they have, not just like you just said, the toiletries? I had a student call me, Mr. Kevin, I need some toiletries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what you mean you need some? I need some You ain't even thinking of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go out and provide the necessary things that once they get to what your plan was, now help them maintain.
And I think that's the beauty of what you all
books.
do, because everybody does not have someone there that can get them those resources.
And being in True Colors, what we found is it's really a relationship with their parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have to establish a relationship with their parents so that they can also see the big picture as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of our students might be first generation college students.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to educate their parents as well on the process. Obviously, it changes year to year. Financial resources is available. Those types of things change. So we try to establish a relationship with their parents as well.
I can't thank the support that we get from the community,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our friends, the people we went to school with, people we don't even know, that have met with somebody in our program or knew somebody in our program, and they hit me up on social media, or somehow they get my telephone number, and they make a donation, to our students. And it's really those donations, those people who have contributed to our program, that really have made a difference in the students' lives that are in college. Because when you're talking about budgeting and forecasting, we didn't have a number for that. We were just hoping we had somebody in college.
We started small, right?
Yeah. And I'll say this, how small it started. And I talked about this before. Corey Dibler, he was the first person that really contributed financially to our program. And his family donated $2,000 to help a girl named Aliyah Hamed. She was going to Penn State the first year. And Aliyah Hamed is graduating in 3.5 years.
Nice.
From Penn State, Harrisburg, with a business degree. As a matter of fact, in 4 years, because she's going to get her, she'll graduate this December with her business management degree, and then get the business marketing degree in June. So in a 4-year time frame, she'd accumulated 2 degrees. That $2,000 that he originally donated to our program, him and his family, we spent almost $100,000 this summer helping our kids go post-secondary.
So the funding that you all are getting is not going to waste. It is going to a good cause.
I mean,
so you fostered relationships with the schools. You're fostering relationships, and you've expanded them with partnerships with organizations and folks who are pouring in. For someone who wanted to reach you and make a donation towards you all, how do they do that?
well, they can go to our website at www.meenhancedbywe.com. I'm hoping at the end we can put our little, taglines to make it easier on people. Or we have a nonprofit foundation that most people will donate to, and that's webelieveinyourchild.org. And again, in social media or website, click the donation button and be kind. But yeah, I mean, we would not be here. I mean, $90,000 we spent this summer getting our students to school, and then 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, we started out with $2,000.
So let me talk about, because I want to pivot a little bit, because eventually we want to talk about the partnerships that we have, and we'll have another guest to come join us. But before we do that, there's so much good work that you all have done in the school districts. Again, I think the biggest thing for our listeners, tune into episode 44, because they'll hear even more about who you are, how you were formed, what inspired you, all of that. You'll even hear about Doug's books. I'm going to give you a shameless plug. What's the name of your books, Doug?
Well, the latest book is The Big Race.
The Big Race.
Yeah.
There we go. So you'll hear more about that. But what I really want to point out are just some cool, fun facts for folks. And you've already mentioned some of this. You were stealing my thunder, but I think it's worth repeating twice. You all have a 100% high school graduation rate for the students involved in the program. 80% of your graduates will attend a post-secondary educational school. Over 90% of your graduates receive scholarship money, which
It's
is
crazy.
huge. Yeah. You also assisted students with, even from a financial literacy standpoint, with opening over 70 checking or savings accounts in the past 4 years. And so again, it's beyond just getting into the classroom. It's kind of like understanding what financial literacy is like, and being in a position to be able to handle their business as young adults or adults. You have 5 students that completed healthcare certification programs while in high school or shortly after graduation.
Yep.
You just mentioned you're expecting your first bachelor's degree graduate from your 4-year university, so kudos to you for that. So you've been doing this long enough to actually see
Yeah.
you get your first cohort in there. That is nice. In the spring of 2026, you'll have your first graduate from a technical institution. So you're not just touting 4-year schools. It's college, career schools, business schools, tech schools. It's whatever that interest, whatever interests that student, and they're going to the institutions of higher education to get them the learning that they need. You're also expected to have over 60 students attending post-secondary educational schools by the fall of 2026.
It's crazy.
So I give those fun facts to our listeners and everyone else to say that you guys are doing a great job. Kudos to you.
Wow.
Keep doing what you're doing. For those who are, it's on their heart to donate. You again, what's the website?
The website is Me Enhanced by We, www.meenhancedbywe.com, and our nonprofit is WeBelieveInYourChild2.org.
All right. And so again, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the partnerships and things like that are thriving. Most recently, you've teamed up with Citizens to offer some additional opportunities for your students. So we're going to have Sina come on from Citizens to talk about that with you all. Doug, before we part ways with you, just temporarily, is there anything else that you want to add
No,
for our listeners?
We're excited about the program and the things that the students have been able to accomplish. And again, we appreciate the support from the staff at each school, whether it's Stilton High, Spire, Susquehanna Township, and Bishop McDevitt. We need the support internally to make this work, and we're just so pleased that we have that support.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so one of the things, most recently, you all have teamed up with Citizens Bank.
Yes.
And there's a nice collaboration that is going on between
Beautiful.
you,
Yeah.
Citizens Bank, and for our listeners, we have Sina Lam, who's
Yes.
here to join us from Citizens, and she's going to first tell us just a little bit about herself.
Okay, so I thank you so much, Miss Tiffanie, for having me on here. I'm actually really excited, nervous, but so I've been with Citizens for about 17 years at the Campbell branch, different roles. This particular role, the College Bound Ambassadors program, I got in about 3 years ago. It's been amazing. It's just transformed how I see community and how I've actually wanted to help community. So it's been really important to me. I'm a child of immigration, first generation, so it's really important for me focally to be able to make sure I give back to my community the best way I can, and College Bound has been it. It's been a game changer for me. Yeah.
So it's been a nice partnership with you and Citizens Bank because
Yes.
of the ability to be able to give back.
100%.
And I don't know if you can answer this specifically, but why is it important? Why does Citizens feel it's important to build those relationships with the students and the community?
So for us, Citizens, we're known as a community bank, and unfortunately, I think in this area, I don't think people see us as that. So the biggest outreach for us has been College Bound and community. You'll see me a lot. I do a lot of tabling events in the area. It's important because we realize there's a new generation of children that doesn't have the support, right? Especially when it comes to higher education or post-secondary education. So it was so critical for us to actually purchase our College Raptor program a few years ago to actually enhance our program. College Raptor is a free program that anybody can sign up for. It's a college and a scholarship search. So it's really part of the program. It's just really immersive, and it really is one of those programs where it's easy to streamline. You can check out the schools you want, add in benefits. It's probably one of the easiest programs to be able to utilize, among other programs like we see college boards. So I think it's one of those pieces where we as a company want to give back, and this is the one factor that we have been able to.
And so the College Rapture platform
Yes.
is a way that helps the students and families navigate through that.
And engage.
Higher ed
Yes.
process.
There's so many different things on our platform for College Raptor that helps them with finding the resources. And there's just so many different schools out there that people don't realize. There's millions, and you know this, millions of scholarships that just, why are people not applying for it? And I want our students to be the first one too. And that's why working with Kevin and True Colors has been such a big impact, not just for me personally and for citizens, but for our children and our community, the families. It's education, right?
So how did this partnership come about between True Colors and Citizens?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Joe Porter, who's the third component to our program, he and his wife Gayette, they bank at Citizens. And I guess Zena and Gayette got into a conversation, or Zena and Joe got into a conversation.
Me and Gayette.
Yeah, you and Gayette got into a conversation about Citizens and this college ambassadors program, and College Raptor being the tool. And Gayette said, you know, my husband Joe works with, you know, Kevin and Doug Lawrence with True Colors, and this may be a tool for them to use. So Zena gives Gayette a brochure. She gives it to Joe. Joe brings it back to me. I said, hey,
Let's do this.
we gotta get on the phone. Sure enough, you know, sometime in early June, I sat down with Citizens and Zena, and we went over to the bank, and next thing you know, I'm taking kids,
Shuttling kids.
you know.
So it takes place at your location.
Well, because it was in the summertime,
Okay.
and the schools were, you know, going through their cleaning process, and their hours are different, it would have been much easier for Cena to come to the school and meet everybody, right? But because of the college work schedules, right, the kids and, you know, their work schedules, their parents and things of that nature, we weren't getting anywhere with that. So I just started saying, okay, Friday morning, you take off work, or, you know, we work your schedule out. We need to go over and start looking at preparation for college. And what I found out is a lot of the students, 17, didn't even have checking accounts. So how are we going to send a kid off to college and they don't have no checking account, right? So doing those type of things, it started out, and then looking at their financial aid packet, right?
Their cost of attendance.
Costs.
These children didn't know what it meant, right? It was almost like someone just bypassed it and said, okay, this is how much school's going to cost. Well, how are you going to pay for it?
Right.
Right? Knowing your numbers has been a big thing for not just their program, for our citizens, is because unless we actually identify where your cost of attendance and your gap is, how do we help, right? So it's really very important for the families and the children to understand, know your numbers.
So Tip, what happens is the student gets the acceptance letter for college. I'm going to University of Pittsburgh, everybody's cheering, everybody's happy. And you ask the parent, well, you know, University of Pittsburgh costs X amount of dollars. And, oh yeah, everybody thinking financial aid and things like that. But they don't really understand the process of what that means, you know. Let's just say University of Pittsburgh's $20,000 a semester, and they're only getting $10,000 in funding. Well, there's a $10,000 gap that needs to be filled. And you'd be surprised if parents go, what does that mean? Well, that means we have to pay this $10,000 and come up with some resources to fill in this gap in order for your child to go to whatever institution they decided for 4 years.
So I wouldn't be surprised about that, because, you know, we talk
Right.
about that all
Right.
the time.
Right.
But it's a real need
Y'all,
that
it's
is out there
tremendous
for
need.
the education to filter out to the students, to the parents, because yes, everybody may have hopes and dreams of going to this post-secondary school.
Right.
But how are you going to cover those costs? Even if you have financial aid, sometimes it doesn't
Does not.
cover everything. You got to bridge that gap. And so being able to take advantage of scholarship opportunities, grant opportunities, and some of these students are coming from areas where they're going to demonstrate some financial need, which means that they may
Yes.
qualify for certain types of financial aid, but if they don't apply within the deadlines, they may not get it, right?
Right.
So for a family who's connected to you all and they go in, what is the experience and what's the key takeaway message for them?
For us is to make sure that you know your numbers.
Right.
you're going to be able to reiterate that back to me, and then we're going to look at your gap and how we're going to fill it. You know, with our college Raptor program, yes, there's tons of scholarships, but it doesn't just sit there. You got to be active on it. You have to make sure you're on there applying. We made it a note that these students, the 2 days that were out at the schools last week, was you better be spending 30 minutes to an hour every week, not on your computer playing games, but searching scholarships. That's what you're dedicating to this program. That's what you're dedicating to us, because if it's important to you and you want to go there, let's make sure we get you there, right? Let's fill that gap and pile up those scholarships, right? And if there is a further gap, let's look at other things that we need to do
in order to get there. And I say the same thing. I tell them sometimes work it like a part-time job when you're looking for scholarships. And I'm sure you all hear with students, they'll say, I don't have enough time in a day, or I don't know where to look. And I usually say there are 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. You pick the hour, you pick the day of the week, but make sure you put the work in to get it done, because it's so much better to receive a scholarship that you do not have to repay than to be told to repay that student loan. I had student loans I had to repay, and it's not fun.
No.
That's out there. And student loans can still cover some of that, but that's your last resort. So I'm glad that you all are sharing this. I'm glad you all are doing this. A little bit more about College Rapture. So here's your site, here's your platform. Is there a section on there that's specific for students, maybe for parents, or even those who are out there?
Outside, yep. So guidance counselors, anybody can sign up for it. It's a free program. You literally filter as much as you can in there. The more you put into the program, data-wise, GPA, the school you want to go to, your demographics, the system itself will actually filter out what's right for you, the scholarships that's appropriate for you. There's little icons on there you can heart, so you can save these scholarships for next year. You remember, this is a full-time job. You got to do it every single year. And you start realizing that some of these families just don't really understand why, right? The reason why. That was the big thing for us is why? Why is it so important?
Why?
Right? Because we know scholarships and grants are free money. So we need to be able to compile as much for our students as possible. They got to put in that full-time job and do that. It's
and
very
it doesn't
important.
last forever. I always say they don't leave free money on the table, so you need to take advantage of the opportunity. So while they're even on your sites and these scholarships are coming up, I always say figure out what those deadlines are for them and anything that needs to go in with it. So if that scholarship organization is saying, hey, we need a copy of your transcripts. We need a letter of recommendation
100%.
from someone.
Yes.
Start talking to folks early in advance about, who can you ask to write a letter of recommendation about who you are and speak on your behalf. Ask them how much advance notice they need. Don't wait till the last minute to ask them, because all of these things play a part and make it a little bit easier when the student does go to your platform. The student does start to fill out those applications. And then by the time they get to Kevin Dutch's program, and they're out there at the schools, they know their numbers because their numbers were already pulled. They're ready to apply. They're ready to hopefully get those notices that come back to say, hey, we got some extra funding your way, and they're coming on.
Trust me when I say this. We were always behind the 8 ball. Even last year, we had 16, 17, 19 kids set off to go to 18 kids set off to go to college, right? Those scholarships are out there, but trust me when I say this, if it's May or June, those deadlines were gone, right? We missed out on so many opportunities. Today is September 30th. We're here. Why? Because October 1st, what happens?
You want to say the FAFSA opens, but let me give you a surprise. The FAFSA's already open.
So I'm sorry.
It opened.
It opened
last
already.
week.
It opened last week, right?
Officially, it should have launched October
today.
1st.
October 1st,
for
right?
26, 27 academic school.
We're here today preaching about, number one, get your FAFSA returned in. Number two, let's talk about prices and costs and all that kind of stuff. 3, let's talk about scholarships. We're doing all this now, where 3 years ago, this was being done in the spring, Tim. You remember?
We do them in the fall.
We were doing them in the spring.
Well, see, 3 years ago, and this is the part where I have to kind of help you out here, because it's I'm also the higher education access partner. So the access partner in here has to also fill it in. Couple years ago, they had some delays with the FAFSA, so they had to do it in the spring at that point. But normally, it is a fall thing. However, one thing I can say is sometimes I go into school districts or certain areas where they're not individually getting theirs done until the spring because they don't realize the urgency.
That's what I'm
behind
saying.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
great
there,
word.
so that's
Urgency.
the key
Urgency.
piece.
Yeah.
Miss
Yeah.
Tiffanie, I think the urgency with these
Mhm.
children, I mean, we're talking to juniors and seniors, but you can start applying for some of these scholarships as early as your freshman year.
Mhm.
So why not, right? Get into the program, understand your numbers, know what you want to do, know the whys behind it. And the great thing for Citizens is we already have 2 scholarships that you can apply for.
All right.
One for $1,500 from Citizens and $2,500 from College Raptor. So that's 2 scholarships right there that you can apply for.
That are, and if the
Yes.
students go out there, is it a thing where they kind of are creating a profile?
Yep, their
that
parents
that's
can
all
do
that,
it.
and the
Yes.
parents can
Yeah.
do
Parents, guidance counselors, anybody. You can go in if you want to search
You
our
have to
site.
check it
It's
out and see,
amazing.
yeah.
And it's not just for, undergrads. It's for
Mhm.
graduate programs, doctorate programs. So it's a larger program for everybody.
And that tool that they use, and that's what I call it, a tool to help them. Is this major right for me? Am I on the right career path? Can I afford to go? Is it better for me to go to hack for 2 years and then springboard into a 4-year program? Keep in mind that 32% of our students go to hack the first year or 2 before they transition to a 4-year school. Why? Because of financing. Finance is a big component about selecting where you're going to school. I know you want to go to the University of wherever,
Connecticut.
yeah, but is it financially affordable for you?
Right.
And if it's not realistic, let's not spend all year talking about this fictitious thing when reality's in front of us, and let's work on what we can do.
And I think that's good because it kind of pieces, this concept in the partnership kind of pieces together what you all are doing on the front end as well as on the back end. Because in the beginning you were talking about having that plan and that purpose. So for that student, it's about career exploration. What do you want to do? Well, now what's it going to take in order to get there? What resources do you need? Do you have the credentials to get into the specific schools? How much is it going to cost you?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's not about the overall cost of an individual school. It's not even about, hey, you know what, this is that D1 school with a great name. I'm not even a D1 athlete, but it sounds good.
I'm going there.
Ultimately, it's about, to me, I think, about students going to the school that is going to allow them the opportunity to get the education that they need to go into the careers that they want to go into, live the lifestyle that they want to without breaking their bank, and doing it in an affordable way where it's financially responsible and they take advantage of the grants and the scholarships or the free money up
Yes.
front. If they need work study, that's an option. If they need student loans, and they're doing it responsibly and only borrowing what is needed. So it's about the whole overall picture. I think the collab of what you all are doing, from you all starting with them while they're in high school, bringing in resources, bringing in folks with the information and the knowledge to get it done, is great. And then there's the other piece that says, hey, on top of that, here's the resource, here's the platform, here's College Raptor. Now, how do they actually access it? Is it a website?
Yep.
Do you have the name of it?
Yep, they just have to go to
Issue?
collegeraptor.com for Citizens or www.citizensbank.com, and they can find all of our resources right on
And
the
they'll
website.
find all of the resources.
Yep. It's right,
right
there.
there.
Yep. And then I'm sure you'll probably provide my information too if the families do any outreach. So
Yep.
I'm local to Central PA.
That was a big component, right?
Okay.
You know me, I like fostering relationships.
Mhm.
I mean, I want to go to the party and I want to dance, but I want to dance with the people who want to dance with me,
Okay.
right? So, right, I won't be out there with somebody who won't
So you and
dance.
Zeta are out there
You
just
we dancing, we're dancing,
We're tugging it.
right? Yeah. So here's what I look for: the people who I think mesh in with our kids and understand them, right? Not just them, but their parents,
Mhm.
because a lot of times the parents are supposed to know, but they don't know.
They don't always know. Yeah.
They don't always know. And you have to have somebody who is sensitive enough to sit across from them and understand that they don't know, but their presentation has to be to where it can be accepted,
Mhm.
right? And when I feel that, I go, oh yeah, and then I can start bringing in my students, and we can build that relationship. So here they have somebody that they can call, and a lot of them do call from college and say, hey, here's my situation, this is where I'm at, what can we do? And because if they call me, I'm guessing
Mhm.
right? I want to be able to give my students tools of professionals that are helping them build their portfolios to help them grow, right? I want them to graduate. If they bank at Citizens because of the relationship they formed when they were in high school, that's great, right? But I want to give them the tools and the resources that they can start developing and transitioning into the lives that they're looking for when I met them when they were in 9th grade.
Absolutely. So, feedback. What type of feedback have you all received from the students, the families, school districts that you've been in contact with since this partnership is formed?
Let me.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So, we have a young lady named Sophie Formica, who's at Howard University, and Sophie is one beautiful student, right? 3.9, 4.0 GPA, business major at Howard. Her mother works at Bishop McDevitt.
I think I met her when I was there.
Right,
before.
right,
Jen,
at Miss
yeah.
Jen. So Sophie worries about finances all the time. And I said, well, we got this program we want to introduce. So I had Sophie, and Sophie was working in the summertime. Sophie need to take off so we can get you over to this meeting at Citizens Bank. Sophie comes home with a ton of information from mom. Literally, we normally go out to eat afterwards. Sophie gets in her car, goes home, talks to her mom. Jen calls Zena the next day, right? Now, keep in mind, she's already in school, spent a year in school, but didn't understand the financial aid process. I don't know, it was over there about an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
Hour and a half with them. We go back. Jen already tells people, Bishop McDevitt, no, you need to have Zena here. You know, a week ago, we were already there.
So it's well received.
Yes.
Well received.
I'm hoping. I do get a lot of
Obviously.
emails from the
Yeah.
students asking
Yeah.
for appointments.
Yeah.
I think for me the big part is with these very special group of kids, it's just they want to know.
Yeah, they wanna know.
They want someone to hold their hands and go, Ms. Zena, what do I need to do? How do I do it? Give me the resources and then work on it. And I think that right there just tells me that we have a great bunch of families and communities that want to make sure that their kids are taking advantage of what we are offering, and I think it's really important, the knowledge, educating not just the students but the families and the community about what we have, and working together, because it does take a village to raise a child. It's a lot, and I think it's important to understand the dynamics that we have here, and I'm very, very happy to have it, and it's just,
It sounds like a wonderful collaboration.
Yes.
I'm glad you all found Zena,
Yeah,
brought her into
yeah.
to the mix of everything. Are there resources? And you did mention it, so I'd like for you to take the opportunity. If someone wants to reach out to you at Citizens in the program,
Yeah, so
How do
I'm
they
actually the local branch, which is in Camp Hill. They can literally just find me on there's www.citizensbank.com. Find the Camp Hill branch, and they can find me. I'm the only banker there right now. So
Okay.
That makes it easy.
and then
Yeah.
the website once again for College Rapture.
Yep. So it's literally www.collegeraptor.com, or they can go to www.citizensbank.com.
All right.
Yeah.
And then Kev, we've gotten Doug on the outside right now, but Doug is still here with us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you to wrap it up for True Colors. If they want to again reach out to you all through True Colors, make a donation, or just to hear a little bit more about you, you all and what you all are doing, how do they do that?
Again, www.meenhancedbywe.com. Our nonprofit is www.webelieveinyourchild.org. Social media platforms, Lawrence Brothers on Facebook, or you can call the school and call Bishop McDevitt High School or Stillman High Spire High School or Susquehanna Township High School and say, hey, what about the True Colors program?
All right. Anything else that I've not talked about that either of you would like to share?
No, I think, again, thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you for providing us an opportunity to share our story and what we're doing. We're excited about our students. Lastly, I just want to thank the people who are making donations and contributing to our program. It's really making a difference in our students' lives, and our success is a reflection on your commitment, your dedication, and your donations to our program.
All right. And I've seen the program firsthand, so I love what you all are doing.
Thank you.
Kevin, Doug, continue to do what you do, have an impact. Sina, it was nice meeting you.
Such a
Thank
pleasure.
you for being on here. Continue to do what you all do.
Thank you.
For all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Higher Education Access Corner, and we'll see you soon.